What's up, everybody? It's your boy C Sands, and this is That Comic Show. It's Tuesday. It's Comic Book Tuesday. So I just reached in and look what I pulled out. Now we're back to some Marvel. Last few weeks we've been on some indies comic books, some comic book property that's not too familiar to most people, including myself. But now we're back to some classics. We're looking at Marvel Comics, and this is Cage and Iron Fist. Now, if you know anything about Luke Cage and Iron Fist, you can look at the Netflix series. You see their dynamic, you see their interaction, but if you look at the comic books, very different interaction. So we're going to look right into it. We're going to get into it, and it says the reunion you've been waiting for, Cage and Iron Fist. Now, the reunion basically saying that there was a time that Iron Fist and Luke Cage went separate ways. In fact, the Defenders went separate ways. And now it looks like that they are back together. Now, we start this comic book with a problem and something sad. Lucas Cage, once a hero, is dead. Or is he? In this comic book, we see here, we go back a little bit, we see Luke Cage is actually in this underground bunker, and he is connected to some type of thing keeping him here, and it looks like that his villain, the villain of this comic book, is the one who kept Luke Cage in this spot. But it looks like Luke Cage broke out and he is on the loose. He is running out and he is trying to get out of there. Now, Luke Cage has finally got back up into the city, and now he is back on the patrol. He is back doing what he does best, protecting those who cannot protect themselves. That's what makes Luke Cage so special. He helps this elderly woman, and he gets this elderly woman out of harm's way. Now, at the end of this, we're seeing Luke Cage laying here, and he looks like he is in pain. But then someone comes up, Hardcore. Hey, look at that, Hardcore. If you remember Hardcore, the Hardcore comics, we're looking at this character right here from the Hardcore comics. So, it looks like that there is a crossover that we're doing, Hardcore and Luke Cage. Now, we get further on into this, and we're seeing that this man is shooting Luke Cage, and Luke Cage, of course, he's bulletproof, so he's walking through the bullets. And this fight is happening. There's a lot of action going on in this comic book. A lot of action's going on in this comic book. The same old lady is with Luke Cage, and Luke Cage is protecting this woman and getting her out of harm's way. He's literally walking through these gangs, and he's trying to get to this villain, this black villain. He's trying to get to him as fast as he can. And while all this is happening, Iron Fist is checking this out in the back scene. So Iron Fist has been investigating this, and now, boom, Iron Fist, someone masquerading as Iron Fist pops up and shows up in this comic book, and it looks like that this man is trying to get him. You know, they actually designed Luke Cage in this comic book to look a little bit like the Hulk. His face, his hair, he actually looks a little like DJ2 from Street Fighters, which is interesting. But this guy is masquerading as Iron Fist, and this is the fake Iron Fist that's fighting Luke Cage, and they turn to the jungle. We are in the jungle at this point. And while we're in the jungle, the real Iron Fist is here, and he is fighting against this man that was running away from Luke Cage. And this guy is, I don't know who this dude is, but he's wearing a loincloth, and he has too much muscle for my taste. He just huge. But it looks like perhaps that this could be a clone. This could be a clone. Actually, no. This is Bushmaster. Okay, makes sense. This is Bushmaster. So Bushmaster is the guy from season 2. If you remember season 2 of Luke Cage, the Bushmaster, this is who we're actually dealing with in this comic book. So the Bushmaster is fighting, man, this is just two big hulking black men. It's very interesting. But Iron Fist is in the midst of this fight, and this fight is going on between all three of these characters, and Iron Fist is definitely helping out Luke Cage defeat Bushmaster while they're in this jungle. And of course, they were able to defeat him, and now they're fighting each other. You know, they're dynamic. Their dynamic is always like that. So we look a little further into this comic book, and it looks like that the villain has got away, and these two men are together, and they are trying to still get after this villain. But I guess that's all that we have right now. This is it. So, very interesting comic. So we see people from the Hardcore comic book from Marvel, and we're seeing them cross over to the Luke Cage comic book. So that's pretty cool. So again, This is a pretty cool comic book. I'm actually going to sit and read this comic book because I'm very interested to see as to why Luke Cage was trapped and Luke Cage was, it was told that Luke Cage was dead. So there's something wrong with this picture and how Bushmaster got so big out of nowhere. This is going to be a very interesting comic book to get into. But once again, this is Comic Book Tuesday. Go and support your local comic book store. Go out there and check out the comic books that are out there. This comic book right here came out in 1993, so you know this has a lot of there's a lot of age on this, but it's all good. Go out and check out these comic books, new ones, old ones. It's all good in the hood. Once again, this is your boy Sam's. This is That Comic Show. Zams out.